All right. I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of March 18th, 2019 to order. Roll call, please, Andy.
Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
Balmas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
6 present.
All right, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First order of business is approval of the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion
moved.
to approve? Motion by trustee
Second.
Jacobs, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the March 4th, 2019 meeting. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2019-14, approving and publishing the official zoning map of the Village of Gurnee. Item number 3, approval of ordinance 2019-15, approving a plat of easement which grants a utility easement to the Village of Gurnee at 1075 Tri-State Parkway. Item number 4, approval of ordinance 2019-16, authorizing execution of a new employment contract with the village administrator. Item number 5, approval of resolution 2019-04, reallocating 2019 volume cap to the Village of Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Item number 6, approval of payroll for period ending March 1st, 2019, in the amount of $824,226.15. Item number 7, approval of bills for period ending March 18th, 2019, in the amount of $1,624,469.24.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the record? Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Ross. Roll call, please.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right. Next item is petitions and communications. The first is a proclamation for Fair Housing Month, April 2019. April 11th, 2019 marks the 51st anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, which guarantees equal housing opportunities for all citizens, and the Village of Gurnee supports fair housing laws and programs to eliminate discrimination. And individuals in the state of Illinois have the right to choose where to live without discrimination based on race, color, religion, age, gender, marital status, national origin, and/or disability. And equal housing opportunities should be available for all citizens and should be achieved throughout the country. And fair housing groups, such as the Fair Housing Center of Lake County and Prairie State Legal Services, have been formed to investigate allegations of illegal housing discrimination. And the talents of grassroots and nonprofit organizations, housing service providers, financial institutions, elected officials, state agencies, and others must be combined to promote and preserve fair housing and equal opportunity. Now therefore I, Christina Kavarik, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Fair Housing Month. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Jacobs. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Our next proclamation is designating Alcohol Awareness Month, April 2019. Each April since 1987, the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence has designated April as Alcohol Awareness Month. And Alcohol Awareness Month was established as a nationwide effort to provide the American public with information about the disease of alcoholism and the serious problem of alcohol abuse. And underage drinking is a growing problem with devastating consequences. And alcohol use by young people is extremely dangerous, not only to themselves, but to society as a whole. And alcohol is the #1 drug of choice for America's young people and is associated with traffic fatalities, violence, unsafe sex, suicide, educational failure, and other behavioral problems. And those who start drinking before the age of 15 are 4 times more likely to become alcoholics than those who begin at age 21. And every day in the United States, 11,318 American youth ages 12 to 20 take their first drink. And 2019 Alcohol Awareness Month will serve to remind us that alcohol is a major factor in motor vehicle crashes, homicides, suicides, and unintentional injuries, which are some of the leading causes of death among youth. Now therefore I, Christina Kovarik, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim April 2019 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Gurnee and urge all residents to support the efforts of those working to prevent underage drinking. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, proclamation passes. We'll move on to reports. First is a presentation by our Finance Director, Brian Gosnell, for our fiscal year 18-19 third quarter financial performance. Patrick, any introductory remarks?
Yeah, no, Brian didn't get enough at the last meeting as far as financial presentation, so he's back again tonight to go over the third quarter. So the PowerPoint and then a copy of the report is at your spot here tonight.
All right, thank you, Pat. Looking at the report, starting with cash and investments. Total cash and investments just over $33.4 million. 74% of that is the general fund, 17% is the water and sewer fund, 42% of that is in checking and money market accounts, primarily with First Midwest, 31% with our fixed income investment account at Schwab, and then 24% with Illinois funds. Versus the 91-day T-bill as a benchmark, we are trailing that just slightly by about 15 basis points here, the village portfolio. On to the good news. Looking at major revenues here. Starting with sales tax. The information in the report goes through the end of January, which from sales tax means sales through the end of October. Up 5.2%, just over 5.2% from the seasonally adjusted budget, or $471,000, and over 3% up over last year. Good news is through March, which includes December, the holiday season, we're up 5.3%, or about $600,000 versus budget, and 3.17, or about $370,000 versus last year. So after a slow start to the year, very, very strong second, third quarter, and hopefully finish out the year here. On the home rule sales tax side, right on budget. Just as a reminder, this is the first year we've separated those two out, so we're still kind of gauging what the home rule sales tax number is, but it should come in right on budget through the end of the year. Use tax, here we see strong performance. Internet purchases, we've talked about that multiple times. Expect that to carry through. Amusement tax includes a one-time payment of about $500,000 that was a result of changing the collection method with Six Flags. Without that, we're just trailing budget through January, but through March, we're back ahead of budget. So we don't expect any negative variance through the end of the year here. Hotel tax, as we talked about extensively during the budget presentation, the variance versus budget here is due to how we budgeted for the Great Wolf Lodge revenue based on maximum exposure under the rebate agreement. So any negative variance here is offset by a positive variance on the expenditure side. But you see hotel tax versus last year up 104%. So obviously versus last year, very strong. Food and beverage, down just slightly from budget, but up from last year. We expect that to carry through the end of the year and finish just slightly under budget. Telecommunications tax. This is one we've seen going down over the past 7-8 years. Looks like we're going to end up just slightly under our budget assumption, about $10,000 to $15,000 here at the end of the year. And then building permits, if we finish the year consistent with last year, we should miss that by only about $50,000. And then income tax, up slightly versus budget, about $21,000, and then down almost 12% versus last year, and that's the impact of the state budget where they impacted income tax last year. So you see that variance. General fund revenues in total finished just slightly ahead of budget here, 77.4%. In the taxes category, 65.21. That's the resort side of the Great Wolf, the way we budgeted for the Great Wolf rebate and revenue. License and permits finished under budget 58.6%. That's due to the timing of liquor licenses. And fines and forfeitures just under budget, and that's lower court fines there. Didn't anticipate. Everything else finished right at budget or ahead of budget. Expenditure side of the general fund finished under budget 73.33%. Salaries and wages category was just slightly over. That's the timing of payrolls. We had 3 payrolls in the months of May and November, and also we had the one-time, once-a-year pays like longevity pay in December. Throws that timing off just slightly. Employee benefits finished 85.8%. This is due to the timing of police and fire pension payments. Those are done in December, and also the work comp premium at the beginning of the year. Professional and technical services is just slightly over. That's greater than anticipated red light camera fees. Obviously, that's offset by the revenue side. And then other contracted services at 83.4%. That's the timing of insurance premiums and some seasonal public works contracts there. I should note, I apologize to Public Works in advance, the supplies category, once we get to March, increases greatly with the snow and ice control line item. So it's 51.4% here. That does not carry through to the fourth quarter. Water and sewer revenues finished quarter at 76.9%. Charges for service are up. We see water usage is actually up 2.5% through January, and we do see that carry through then for February and March. Investments and contributions finished way over budget, about 164%. That's increasing interest rates there. We've seen that happen throughout the year. Water and sewer expenditure side, 68.9% of budget. A lot of the same things here we see in the general fund. Employee benefits, other contracted services, that's insurance premiums and work comp liability insurance, and then professional and technical services is up, and that's due to audit fees and some personnel testing there. Everything at or under budget. Looking at police and fire pensions, it was a rough quarter. Average monthly portfolio on the police side of $50.8 million. Actually had losses of $3.1 million. Makes an annualized fiscal year 19 return of 5.42. Obviously, the market's turned around again when we get to January and February, but December was a rough month. 12-month rolling average, 1.59. That actually takes into account 2 periods that the market was significantly down within that 12 months. And then 36-month rolling average of just over 8%. On the fire side, $37.1 million average portfolio balance. Small gain, $258,000. Annualized return for fiscal year 19 of 1.95. And then a 12-month rolling average of negative 1.82 with 36 of 7.71%. So we'll see those 12-month rolling averages will change in the fourth quarter to the positive side. And that's it for the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the trustees? I don't know if the village board got the same email, but I received an email today. There is quite a bit of legislation that was introduced to help bring some relief to all these pension plans to consolidate, similar to IMRF. I would take the time to read the several bills. I know the IML is supporting it, and they invited us to weigh in on the legislation, so there's quite a bit of reading there. Do you know if the village board would have gotten the same email I did?
If not, I can forward it to
Yeah,
you. The Municipal League
okay.
has come up with, I think, 5 different scenarios that they've presented to the state legislature. The governor has created a task force to take a look at consolidating the downstate police and fire pensions. So the Municipal League sent out some information today. I will check to see if it went to the village board email address. If it didn't, I will forward it along.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crucial and critical that we make sure we maintain a healthy pension fund for police and fire. They do not get Social Security. This is their retirement. We want to make sure that they're secure when they retire from the village. But it's also very hard to sustain it at a local level and get the kind of returns that we see with IMRF and professional management and that. So I would encourage you to look at that and weigh in on it, as I will be. Any other reports?
Just a reminder, so we have published for a public hearing April 1st, 6:40 p.m. for the proposed budget. So we'll be convening then. Brian will go over the changes that we've made from our budget workshop on March 4th to the final budget, so there are some changes here and there, nothing major, but little tweaks around the fringes. So we'll cover that at the public hearing, and then the budget will be on the regular agenda for your consideration that night.
All right. Any, Trustee Ross?
I was just wondering if you could give a report of a summary of the stormwater management study on the flooding due to the Foxconn.
Sure, because I'm a stormwater management commissioner. The stormwater management had commissioned an engineering study by Christopher Burke. It was presented at our meeting here in March. I'm pretty sure I sent the link out. I mean, it's a very lengthy report, a lot of detail. It doesn't really tell us how it impacts us here locally, other than we know there's more water coming downstream. So I did talk to David, and David's going through the process of looking at the report and helping with some of that, impact to us, and we'll be doing a report out to the village board. So he'll make the presentation, he'll take the same presentation, probably shorten it somewhat, and make it for the board, and then maybe some recommendations of some actions we can take early April.
Yeah, we're shooting for April 15th for that presentation, so.
And then we have another Stormwater Management Commission the first Thursday of April, and there may be some actions that come out of that now that the commissioners have had a chance to deal with it. But David is planning on making a presentation to us on what that study found, so.
And then while we're talking about stormwater, the Des Plaines River got up to about 9 feet, just over 9 feet, crested. It's on its way back down, so it's probably below 8 at this point. I think it was right at 8 today. There's no significant precipitation in the forecast, so we should be okay, but we continue to keep an eye on that. So,
Thank God for the wetlands. All right.
One other issue.
Trustee Jacobs?
With all the new legislations that's out on the horizon, with the other issues that we're facing, I think we should probably remind everybody about the witness slip process, how they can assist with the legislation that way.
Yeah, I think we've sent instructions. I mean, I know I have an account, so it's pretty simple for me, and it's easy for you to set up, and it's probably fastest and easiest if you set up an account, because then you can identify the bills you want to watch. So we recently had the legislation with ethylene oxide, which we sent out those bills. You click on it. Patrick usually puts the link right in there that takes you right to the page to do the witness slip. I know I do several a week. When you get the IML newsletter, it will also include links to active legislation if you want to weigh in. We just weighed in on the
hoop houses.
Yeah, those houses and stuff. And I believe we have the ones for ethylene oxide is on our website too. So that takes you right to the page. It's a little more cumbersome if you don't have an account, but you guys can all set up accounts.
Sure, I think there's even, some of the legislators even give you a how-to on some of their own personal sites, so if anybody's interested in looking there
Yeah,
as
they
well.
may. Okay. Anything else? All right. We have no old business.
Correct.
All right, then we are going to move on to new business. First item is approval of ordinance 2019-17,
Yes.
amending Chapter 2 of the Gurnee Municipal Code by adding Section 2-143, parenthetical 18, and Sections 2-315 to 2-319 to establish an administrative procedure for assessing and determining claims made under the Public Safety Employee Benefits Act.
Sure. So you had a memo from our HR Director, Christine Palmieri, on this. So the Public Safety Employee Benefits Act, also known as PSEBA, was enacted in 1997 to provide lifetime employer-funded health insurance benefits for law enforcement officers, firefighters, other public safety officials that are killed or injured in the line of duty while responding to an emergency. The qualifying employees that sustain a catastrophic injury are entitled to lifetime employer-funded health insurance premiums for themselves, their spouse, and any children. The village has used an application and internal review process for applicants seeking this benefit. Human Resource Director reviews the request in light of the act and then makes a recommendation to myself. I then review the information from both parties and either approve or deny the request. The employee, under our current process, can appeal. This appeal comes to me, and they provide any additional information they would like to provide. And then I weigh that and again, make a determination. We feel there's a better way to do this and kind of follow our administrative hearing process where we would use an outside attorney to come in and manage the process. So the Illinois Municipal League came out with a model ordinance or a template to use. HR Director Paul Mary and Brian Winter have been looking at this and tweaking it for our needs and have brought this ordinance forward for you to consider. It lays out the responsibilities of the hearing officer, the application and scheduling of the hearings themselves, how they will be conducted, and then some additional information on the PSEBA benefits. So it's pretty straightforward. As I said, it somewhat follows our administrative hearing process that we have over at the police department. We feel it'll yield a more organized, better process when these petitions for the benefits are presented. So this ordinance is before you tonight for consideration. Obviously, Christine is the expert, as well as Brian, so if there's any questions.
I agree, much better process. The appointment of the attorney is based on that case off the list from the disciplinary hearing board? Or is it more of a, like we appoint somebody for a year or something?
I think it's at your discretion how long they would serve. It would just have to be an attorney with at least 5 years' experience, so very similar to the current administrative process, so.
The ordinance reads that the village administrator would make that appointment. We would put it on the appointment list in May.
Okay.
That's how I would envision it would happen, and
All
we
right,
can
so
decide
then
if we
it'd be
want to
for a
do,
year.
right,
Okay.
a one-year appointment, similar to
Okay.
what we do with the
Okay.
administrative hearing officer.
All right, questions from the trustees? Trustee Balmas?
How many instances have you had to go through that process?
I've had one since I've been village administrator.
We have 10 current recipients.
But no appeals.
We've had one appeal, yeah.
I agree this is a much better process.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, Andy?
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2019-18, authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with Dixon Engineering for Knowles Road Water Tower inspections.
Sure. So we're about to get ready to go vertical on the tower on Knowles Road. The foundation's been poured. They're currently backfilling the foundation. Steel and equipment is expected to be delivered to the site later on this week. Since it's a very substantial and sizable investment, we want to make sure it's done right. We reached out to a couple firms as far as conducting inspections related to the welds and then also the coating that goes on the outside and inside of the tower, as both of those are obviously critical as it relates to the lifespan of the tower. We reached out to Dixon Inspection and then OR Coatings to have discussions with their staff, let them know kind of what we were looking for, the services that they're able to provide. Following those conversations, staff solicited a proposal from Dixon, felt that it would better meet our needs. Includes 46 separate inspections related to welds and the coatings. Some of the weld inspections are visual, others they bring in a machine and actually x-ray the welds to make sure they're done correctly. And then the coating inspections will be at various stages on the interior and exterior of the tower. The exterior will have 3 separate coatings applied. The interior will have 2 separate coatings applied, so they'll be on site during those processes. The price came in at just under $34,000. We don't think we'll have to use all the inspections, but just in case, that is built in. So staff is looking to move forward with Dixon. We've worked with them in the past, solid company. And as I said, for how much money we're spending on this tower, upwards of $6 million to have this stuff checked out for around 34, we feel makes sense.
That's exactly my thoughts. For as much as we're spending on this tower, we want to put it up right. Questions from the trustees?
No, I'll make a motion to
Second.
approve it.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Andy.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstenson.
Yes.
Jacobs.
Aye.
6 aye.
All right, motion carries. Stand in new business, so I'll reopen the floor to public comment. If you come to the microphone to speak, we ask you state your name, and your address is optional unless you've signed up in the back with the information for our minutes.
Hello, my name is Tea Tanaka. I am here to thank the mayor for Coffee with the Mayor Day on Saturday. It was lovely to talk to you. It was lovely to talk to you too, Trustee Ross. I want to thank you for the opportunity that we had to talk one-on-one. That was a great experience, so thank you very much for that. I also want to thank you guys for filling out the witness slips for Bill 1852, 1853, and 1854. So thank you very much.
Tia, if you wouldn't mind, could I go ahead, I'm sorry. I know I gave you my personal contact information. Would you mind giving me yours, just so I can reach out if I need to?
Absolutely,
Okay,
yes.
after the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought of that after I left Saturday. I thought I should have exchanged numbers.
No,
and
that's
not just
okay.
given you mine.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
I mean to contact you after the election is done, so after, you know,
We may have a need before then. That's 2
that's
weeks
fine.
off. so-
Absolutely. All
Okay.
right, thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else? All right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn, trustee Balmas, second by trustee Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned.